Hey Internet, hey YouTube, this is Nate. You can also call me Nathan, but please never call me Nathaniel. And welcome to this guide on eggs, the new unit type coming in the last Divinity DLC with the Wurmkin clan. We are going to be talking a little bit about the mechanics behind, some important notes around how to play eggs, and just kind of my recommendations on egg infusions, egg combos, some different egg-oriented builds. And then potentially jump into a run, maybe not do a full run, but just kind of show a little bit some of the decision making at certain points in a run when I'm doing an egg build. If you like this guide or if it was helpful for you, would appreciate if you would also like the video and subscribe. Getting ever closer to that illustrious, glorified 1,000 subscriber count. We're right on the edge, and honestly, it's a big surprise to me. So I appreciate those who have already subscribed. And if you haven't yet and have been enjoying the videos, that's the best way to support the channel. But let's start off. We're going to jump into the logbook and just look at what are the egg units and some of the mechanics dealing with egg units. So they're all going to be Wurmkins. They're all unit types. And we have basically three different eggs. You have the bog chrysalis, the kinhost vessel, and the bog deep cocoon. They all have these two mechanics, shell and hatch. So shell has it's like a countdown timer, but instead of a countdown based on time, shell gets removed at the end of turn based on the number of charged echoes on the floor. So what will happen is you'll build up charged echoes on the floor where you have your egg, and then at the end of turn and before any other things get applied, so it's after combat but before after combat resolutions, the egg will absorb all of the charged echoes up to the number of shell remaining, and if the number of charged echoes is greater than or equal to the number of shell, then the egg will hatch. If it's less, then the shell will drop by the number of charged echoes, and you'll have to continue building up charged echoes in the next turns to try to hatch your egg. It's not the only way to remove shell, but that's the primary way. We'll talk a little bit about some other ways in a minute. But yeah, that's the primary way. You build up charged echoes, and then it eats the charged echoes. Then there's the second mechanic, which is hatch. So once the egg hatches, the unit dies, so it actually it dies. So it goes into your discard pile. And if you've seen my guide, which I assume you've seen my guide on Death and Monster Train, then you would know that things that die go into the discard if they don't have, permadeath or if there aren't morsels. And we'll talk a little bit about the implications there in a minute. But the egg will die, and then you will summon on death a unit, or maybe multiple units. In this case, with the bog chrysalis, it summons 2 bog flies. And what's very important is that all card texts, in this case, unit upgrades and stat changes, get applied to the egg. And it's very, very similar to how death operates. So if you remember in the death video, again, I assume you've watched that video, only stat enhancements get carried over through death. It's very similar with hatching eggs. So stat buffs get applied, buffs, debuffs, or any other kinds of applied buffs do not get applied to the eggs. So for example, if I put a furnace tap on the bog chrysalis, and the bog chrysalis then hatches, both the ember drain and the multi-strike from the furnace tap will be removed on death with the bog chrysalis and will not be applied to the eggs. But if I infuse a unit, for example, let's say I infuse we infuse Animus of Will. So we get minus 15 damage and we get multi-strike. That infusion will apply. Similar if we buy a Frenzy Stone or if we buy a quick upgrade, those will also get applied to the eggs because they are upgrades. They are text that you've added onto the card through an upgrade stone. So summary again, all stat enhancements get carried over, all upgrades get carried over, buffs, debuffs, and other types of applied upgrades do not carry to the eggs. Okay? What's also important is because infusions sometimes have like summon triggers or extinguish triggers, those also get applied to the units that get summoned. So let me give you one example. We can take the Kinhost. The Kinhost Carapace has a summon trigger plus 10 damage plus 10 health on summon. If you put the Kinhost Carapace on the Kinhost Vessel or on any other egg, when the egg gets summoned, it will do the summon trigger. And when the units inside of the egg get summoned, they will also get the summon trigger. Okay? And that's true of all summons. So you can double dip on summon triggers by using these infusions onto eggs. One that I sometimes will do, we're not necessarily talking about strategy yet, but one that I will sometimes do is the Bog Chrysalis. You can actually put the Bog Chrysalis onto an egg, and both the Bog Chrysalis and the units that get summoned, so let's say we put the Bog Chrysalis on a Bog Deep Cocoon. When you play the Bog Deep Cocoon, you will summon 2 Bogflies. And then when you summon the Wurmling, you will summon 2 more Bogflies, because the summon trigger gets applied both on the unit, on the egg itself, and on the units that hatch. And if you want to go really insane, you can put a Bog Chrysalis infused on a Bog Chrysalis, and then your Bog Chrysalis will summon 2 Bogflies, and then each of your Bogflies will summon 2 Bogflies. Okay, so it gets nuts. But basically, just important to note is that all of the infusion texts get applied to both the egg and the hatched units. And they're not connected. So as an example, if your units that come out of eggs die, they are cardless and cannot be reformed. But your egg is a card, and when it dies, it can be reformed. So there's a little bit of some weird stuff there, but it's just important to note that these cards that get, or these units that get summoned out of the eggs, they are cardless. I think you can endless them, but I don't believe you can. You can't, like, if they die. We'll test it. We'll test it out. But I'm pretty sure that the units, because they are cardless, cannot be reformed if they die. The eggs can, though. So that's another thing to point out is eggs. If you put endless on an egg, the egg will be endless. The units inside will not. I don't believe that they are endless. Man. All these things I need to be testing. So we'll do some testing here. We'll do a Melting Remnant run with them and do some testing. But I'm pretty sure that only the egg gets endless and the units inside don't. But we'll test this. But there is a strategy. There's one strategy you can do with endless eggs where you just keep hatching the eggs over and over again. Okay, so that's like, I guess, the basics. Then some other things that are important. Apart from just units, so let's untoggle units, untoggle this. You also have accelerated incubation. This is another way to remove shell. It removes 3 shell from all eggs on the floor. Oh, and actually there's one point that I missed. If you have multiple eggs on the same floor, they will always prioritize the frontmost egg on the floor. So if I, for example, have 2 Bog Chrysalises, the Bog Chrysalis that's in front will take the charged echoes first, and only that one will reduce its shell. Once the first egg hatches, then the second egg will start to also take charged echoes to hatch. So you're always going to be hatching from front to back, and only basically the front one will take all the charged echoes until it hatches, and then if there's any remaining, it will go to the second or third egg afterward. The exceptions are things like this, accelerated incubation. This does not apply to just the front egg. This applies to all eggs on the floor. Very similar. There's a champion upgrade path for Echowright, the Marsh Lord, and you have this text etch, remove 1 shell from eggs. This applies to every egg on the floor, not just the frontmost egg. So when you use consume cards with the Marsh Lord Echowright, you will also remove shell from all eggs on the floor. And I think that covers all of the basics regarding the eggs. Just to talk about the 3 eggs that there are, so there's only 3. You have the Bog Chrysalis. Again, this one will summon 2 Bog Flies. You have the Kinhost Vessel. This summons a Kinhost Pupa. The Kinhost Pupa has armor 20 and multi-strike. The Bog Chrysalis just summons standard Bog Flies, so these are 5 health units with +5 per charged echo. The Kinhost Pupa also has the strike effect, apply Reap to all enemy units. So it applies 1 Reap per strike to everything, and it has multi-strike. So basically, as long as it's living, it's going to apply 2 Reap to the whole floor. And then if you had more multi-strikes, then it would apply even more than that. Bog Deep Cocoon summons the Bog Wurmling, which is a 4 capacity unit that has Trample and also has Etch. So Etch is when you play a Consume card, do this effect. And the effect here on the Bog Wurmling is it gets +10 damage, +10 HP, and its base stats are 90 damage, 60 health. So it's a big boy. This summons a big boy, this summons a medium boy, this summons 2 small boys. And again, every upgrade you put will then apply to the units that get summoned. Okay, so let's talk about some standard egg strategies. I mentioned one already. One is the endless egg strategy. So you can put endless on one of your eggs. You can then hatch it. The next turn, you'll get the egg back in your hand. You can replay it, and you can just basically do that as often as you want. There's a very kind of interesting strategy you can do where you go with Marsh Lord, for example. So you take the Marsh Lord at least to rank 2. Oftentimes, you'll just stop at rank 2. Maybe you get Repeater after that, so you get more etches. But basically, you do like Marsh Lord 2, Repeater 1, so that you can have a constant consume card that gets played. You put Endless on your egg. You put like a summon trigger or some type of extinguish trigger onto your egg. And then as it dies, it does that trigger. The units come. They can also do that trigger. And then you just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And you're getting a lot of value. Similar to like an imp build or an imp or a extinguished tomb build. But this time you're doing it with eggs. Normally this works almost exclusively with the Bog Chrysalis, but you can do it with those as well, but typically it's with the Bog Chrysalis. The idea is that you have the Bog Chrysalis that includes packaged 3 summon triggers or 3 extinguish triggers, and then you get to use that multiple times because both the Chrysalis and the Bog Flies are going to die pretty quickly. Getting off 5 shell with a rank 2 Echo Rite is very easy. Basically, you just play 2 consume cards, and then it have 1 charged echo, and then it will hatch. Other types of builds is, and this is kind of the nice thing about eggs in general, is that they're kind of small. So what you can do is you can pack a bunch of eggs onto a floor with a lot of like good stats. And so normally you're going to want to do this only with the first 2 eggs, the Chrysalis and the Kinhost Vessel, because they're small. It's tough to do this with the Bog Deep Cocoon, but with these 2, because they're so small, you can like stack 3 or 4 of them on a floor, get accelerated incubation. There's also a relic. I actually missed talking about the relic. There is an egg relic, the Hardened Hole, which also removes shell. And then you can just like stack them all in and then hatch them all to overstack the floor with a bunch of hatched units. And that can be quite good because you're packing a lot of value into not a lot of space. The other really good thing that you can do is mixing things like a Wurmkin has a lot of stat upgrades, things like Steel Enhancer, Razor Sharp Edge, let's see, yeah, Root Seeds, Cycle of Life. And then in Wurmkin, you have a lot of these as well. Things like Echo Infusion, Echo Transfer, Echoes of the Past. I think that's the major ones. Yeah. And then all of those stat buffs get applied to the units that get hatched as well. So you can take advantage of the fact that these eggs sometimes spawn multiple units, and you can apply, basically you get double value out of all of the stat enhancements because you're getting them onto 2 units. Specifically if you're getting the Bog Chrysalis, but even the Kinhost Vessel and the Bogworm also really love having a lot of these stat upgrades before they hatch, and then when they hatch, they maintain all the stat upgrades. Another kind of cool thing you can do is you can get a huge amount of health on these eggs, allow them to take a lot of damage before you hatch them, so they can tank a lot of hits. And then once they hatch, it's like a heal, because when they hatch, the actual kin host vessel, the actual bog chrysalis will die, and then your unit gets summoned with full HP. So it's like an effective way to heal. So what you can do is oftentimes like try to keep your egg from hatching until like you absolutely need it, and then hatch it instantly when you need it, and then it's like an instant heal. These are some basic things. In terms of things that I like to put on eggs, a lot of times multi-strike is going to be really valuable because a lot of them have a lot more like damage heavy setup. So like bog chrysalis, the bog flies, excuse me, they're going to have a lot more damage than they are HP. So taking advantage of all of that extra damage with multi-strike tends to be quite good. Similar with kin host vessel and similar with the bog deep cocoon. All of them are very damage heavy. So multi-strike tends to be quite good with them. Anything that's going to increase stats. So things like the sirens. So Incant, Siren of the Sea is going to be quite good. Harvest with no, whoops, not there. Harvest with your where is it? Your Harvest Baron, not your Harvest Tycoon. Your Wickless Baron. Where is he? Wickless Baron. Wickless Baron's Harvest trigger. Anything that's going to like regularly increase the base stats of your unit, your base stats of your egg, are going to be really good, because then they get applied not just to the egg, but then they also get applied to the unit. We talked about Extinguish triggers also being very good, similar with Summon triggers. So Summon and Summon Extinguish triggers tend to be really good because you're getting that value multiplied multiple times. What you want to avoid is things like buffs or things that are not going to carry over well into your eggs. So for example, like Harvest Rage, unless you're able to hatch your egg immediately, you're not going to get a lot of value out of the rage, because some of it's going to go on the egg, then the egg hatches, you lose all that rage, you have to reapply it again. But some in particular that are kind of cool. So like Formless Child is really good because it dies, applies 20 damage, and then that 20 damage gets applied to both units. That tends to be pretty strong. Let me look at some others. Let's see. Nah, I wouldn't do like Lug Slider. None of these. The Shard Soul Carver can be okay. Keeper of Echoes is usually pretty good. We talked about Kinos Carapace is pretty good. The Trample effect can be really good. In fact, things that increase capacity also tend to be okay on eggs, especially eggs that summon multiple units, because the egg is still going to be quite small. So let's say you put Bog Deep Cocoons capacity onto, or its essence onto the Bog Chrysalis. Now the Bog Chrysalis only is going to take up 2 capacity, so it's still pretty easy to play, and you're going to get a lot of value out of the trample and all the health and damage. And then when the 2 bog flies come out, they're going to take up 4 capacity, but because they're summoned, you can overstack the floor and not have to worry about it. You could even play like 2 bog chrysalises on the same floor, taking up 4 capacity, and then when they get summoned, they have 8 capacity. So it's a good way to also package capacity increases in a way that's not so dangerous for your units. Okay, so I think that's probably enough of the theory. Let's jump into a run here. Okay, so there's some interesting potential here. You could actually put a molten encasement on an egg. It's a little strange, but it's actually not terrible. It means when the egg hatches, the other eggs, or the units that come out, will get stealth, which is kind of interesting. But let's just see how this goes here. Oh, we're gonna do resin block. Resin block will apply. So if the egg gets hatched, we have Marsh Lord, then the 10 damage from the egg hatching will get applied to both of the units that come out, or to the units that get hatched. One other thing I'm going to note here, which is kind of cool, and this is why I like to do Melting Remnant, is if we were to, for example, get a Wicklash, we could play the Wicklash on an egg, and the egg would get enhanced with the extra damage, and then if you can hatch the egg before it burns out, you will get the stats onto the units that come out. And you won't get the burnout, because the burnout's considered a debuff or a buff. I think it's just a status effect, and those don't get carried over to the eggs. or to the units that come out of the eggs, which is kind of cool. Very simple. We're going to go Bounding Echoes. Play the Echo right. Now we have our egg here. We're going to punch 2 of these in the mouth. Probably put a Train Steward up front. And as mentioned, so we have 4 charged Echoes. The 4 charged Echoes are going to get applied into the Chrysalis, and the shell will drop to 1. Now, if we happen to get a... We do, actually. We have a Consume card here. We can etch now to immediately hatch the egg. And you'll see we'll immediately get 2 units coming out of it. And now we have these 2 Bogflies. They are cardless. Okay, they can't gain Endless. So that's what I was referring to that earlier. So they cannot gain Endless. And they won't go into your Consume pile. But if you look here... Wait, where's my egg? Oh, it's cardless as well. Ah, that's right. The egg that comes from Echo Right cannot be resummoned because it's not a card. It's just an egg. Interesting. Okay, well, good to know. Good to know. Echo Transfer. We talked about this. Echo Transfer is a fantastic way to get extra damage onto your eggs before they hatch. Wicklash is also very good for the same reason. You can get extra damage onto the egg, and then it will get applied to all the units that hatch. We're going to go here to hopefully get a second egg, which we do. We get the Bog Chrysalis. That's fantastic. So now any upgrades we put on the Bog Chrysalis are going to get maintained through death. So we could actually put a Wickstone. It's not necessarily terrible, except that then the what are they called? Bogflies would also have Burnout, which is not very good. So I'm going to re-roll. I don't really want Large Stone on it. Would much rather get like Multi-Strike or something like that instead. Multi-Strike, fantastic. Alright, we want a unit, and what we really would like is like Harvest would be really good. Okay, Harvest Rage, I did mention that. It's not terrible. It does make it a little bit harder to play the egg, but I think it's still okay. I think it's still okay. We're gonna put the Harvest on it, on these Bogflies. Now we have multi-striking, rage, and raging Bogflies. Build a card with a buff effect, with an ascend effect, and with an effect that increases card draw. So now we can actually overstack the floor with more eggs. Ideally we want something like Permafrost on it so we can wait till we can play the reformed egg and then move it up. We can get a second egg. We can't fit them all though, unless we specifically are able to get Old Magic on holdover. We'll take it. We can increase capacity. Increase capacity means this is going to be now 3, 5, 6. We can still play them all as long as we don't hatch the eggs immediately. I like Kinhouse Carapace. We talked about Kinhouse Carapace being a fantastic way to get extra value immediately because it's going to basically give it 2 summon triggers. Okay, so I've put together what I think is a really solid example of a full egg build. So we're at the Seraphite right now. We have pretty high threat level, 175 shards. And if we just take a peek through the deck here, we have Echo Right with Marshflord. So we're going to summon a Bog Wurmling. That's going to be our main tank here. Then we have a Bog Chrysalis with Big Sludge, which means it has slightly more capacity, but it's got quick and multi-strike. And the main thing here is that these Bogflies just do an insane amount of damage. They get so much rage from all the units that are dying. They're quick. They also get the Charged Echoes benefit. Plus any other stat bonuses that we put onto this are going to be really, really strong. We also have a Kinhost Carapace. You're going to see all 3 eggs, all 3 hatchable units. And then the idea is, because we're playing Melting Remnant, we have these primitive molds. So we can bring the eggs back over and over and over again. And we can overstack the floor with these old magics. These old magics both have Ascend. So we ascend the reformed ones back, and then we have this Wickless Recruitment to remove the burnout on the reformed egg. So it's a little bit insane, but I think it just showcases how cool eggs can be. Also, I think I didn't mention, but the Kinhost Vessel also has Kinhost Carapace on it. And what's also really sick is that any upgrades we put onto the eggs, when we reform them, like they're going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So let's go into the Seraph fight. We'll do the Seraph fight, we'll do the last Divinity fight, and just kind of show how this has been playing out so far. Okay, so we're going to play... we'll keep this deadweight in there for now. We're going to play Kinhost Vessel first, then play you out. And we're going to go Bounding Echoes, and then Eternal Kinstone. We get Echo Break itself, which will get 1 etch. And then we can get Shelter, which will get the 2nd etch. And this will already hatch the Kinhost Pupa. And again, this is absolutely fine because we're going to overstack the floor as soon as we can get our... let's see if we can get it here. Well, we don't get it yet, but we'll get it soon. We can actually do this as well. We can already bring back the other egg and block the hit. So this egg will be safe. I don't even mind Wicklashing here because we're going to give damage, but we're also going to... we're going to give him damage, but we're also going to basically hatch him before he gets burned out. Okay, so now the goal here is to get our... Oh, we still don't have it yet, eh? Okay, we can bring back our thing again. I kind of don't want him to hatch. This is why I keep putting him in the back here. He can block a lot of hits. Let's give him another Wicklash. Also give him Echo Transfer. Well, let's do this first. Then Echo... Okay. Kill you. Echo Transfer. And I don't really care how big this guy gets because we have a holdover stealth. And the Molten Encasement, the way I've been doing it is I've been bringing the Molten Encasement up a floor and then hitting it with Echo Breaks to kill it off. Or the Power of Knowledge also works. We can just hit you with Power of Knowledge. And we'll still hold on to this Wickless Recruitment for now. Cool. He's coming back up. We could use this to get rid of his melee weakness if we want. So first off, we put this guy up here. Then we can etch him alive. And etching him alive plus... I think plus removing the melee weakness should keep him alive here. So we're going to use this. Oh, fantastic. Oh, crap. It's fine, maybe. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's not fine. Oh, you have Trample. I guess it's okay. Like, if those guys die, they die. So be it. We can actually reform now, which is kind of hilarious. Get this guy back again already. And you're all going to die. You're going to do a lot of damage to Seraph. We can also kill this backliner here. Play that out. And, I mean, the main thing is that our core here is not going to get touched again because of the... Oh, no. We have to get the actual Molten Encasement up there. That's right. So we're going to go... Reform. Get the Bog Chrysalis in. Get you in here. Push you up. Kill ya. To get extra stealth onto these guys. And then... Play this. Get it again. Give you more damage and play this. Okay. And we're just going to keep these eggs down here and just protect our top floor, basically, is the main goal. Okay. Do the same thing again. Get you in here. Bring you up. Kill you off. Giving us an insane amount of stealth. And then... What are we going to draw? Pretty hard to upgrade here. Let's go with an Extract. We can do a Wicklash. Yeah, we can play this. Okay. Get a second one in there. Play you here. Very solid. Okay. I mean, my guess is that we'll be able to kill Seraph anyway up top. But would be sick if we could actually get some of these guys rolling. Let's go Bog Chrysalis. Get you in here and up there as well. And then really love if we could actually hatch this guy immediately. Not yet, but soon. Soon we'll be able to. If we kill you, we do so much more damage to him. Yeah. Cool. So stealth dies. Everybody gets a lot of stealth. Our bog flies are now hatched. We can remove burnout from one of them. We can add burnout to the other. We can bring our molten encasement back up there. Kill it off with an echo break. We can then bring back this bog chrysalis. And I think at this point it's fine to just kind of grow them up. Probably you more, because since you don't have burnout. And wow, this is doing a lot of damage. We have so many freaking consume spells. Yeah, just blast this guy. Cool. I mean, even here, like, just getting the Bog Chrysalis back, this Bog Chrysalis is going to do so much freaking damage. Especially if we can stealth. We just kill him now. Wow, look at that. That's so huge. Oh my gosh. Just goes to show how good, like, these eggs can get when they're, like, reformed a bunch. And, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. Also, I forgot to mention we have Sunderstone as well on the Bog Chrysalis. Okay, we get Shard of Divinity. Sounds fine to me. And we'll do this last Divinity fight. But again, the idea is, especially if you go Martial Lord, the idea is to really just, like, get a solid amount of eggs, and ideally you have a way to kind of push them all up onto the same floor and overstack a floor. That's usually the best. Okay. Let's check this now. Okay, let's go... I think we want to keep the primitive mold. And we're still going to play top floor. Even if things are getting killed, ideally we eventually just start getting stealthed a whole bunch. But even if things are getting killed, I'd still rather play on the top, and then we can just keep bringing things up and up and up and up. We're going to be able to actually just kill... I mean, we're gonna hatch the Kinhost Vessel. We're probably going to hatch the Bog Red as well immediately, is my guess. But let's just see. So we can play you. Play you. Should have done that in the other order, but you know how it is. Play that, play that, play that, play that, and play that. And almost got them all hatched. And again, the hatch is like a heal. So as long as we get the stealth relatively early, so that the Echorite doesn't die, we should be okay. So we're going to play Bog Chrysalis down here. You're hatching. For some reason, he's not. Very strange. Let's just do this again. Get a second one. We can Power of Knowledge the backliner. Do that to the backliner as well. Just get some extra damage in. Okay, so now we need stealth. We need a form of stealth. Currently we have... Oh, actually we do. We can play you. Get you up there. Break you. And now the only concern is the spikes. But maybe we can find a way around that as well. Let's play this. Okay. Again, just trying to etch as much as we can. I mean, we can always reform Echorite. That's not impossible way to do this. I think I'm gonna hold off on playing. I guess I could. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off on playing this. Let's do just a hit on this guy. I guess it doesn't really matter. You're gonna trample anyway. Cool. Yeah, that's the thing is I can always, even if Echo Right dies, I can always just reform him. And then we get another egg, which is also kind of hilarious. So we're going to play this. We're going to bring both of them up. So 1, 2. We're going to kill you. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. Then we can remove the burnout from him. And we just got to get him stealthed again. But look at all that. So much damage. So much damage. So, we're going to reform again. We can reform both eggs. Play them both out. We can stealth up here. Oh, I should have... We might be able to get it anyway. But maybe we don't want to put it up there. Maybe we still just want to put the this guy up here to die. Play this. Play this. And smack this guy. We're going to take a little bit of pyre damage. Just a bit. Actually, it's going to hit just our pyre armor. So 35 pyre armor damage, that's fine. Then again, bring back an egg. Play you here. I think we need to bring up this guy for bogfly damage. We could also bring up you as well. You know what we can do is we can play this first, then bring you up, then play this, give you even more damage, play this as well, and we're losing one, but the other one's sticking around. That's pretty good. He is stealthed now as well. Okay. He is burning out, but we can remove burnout. Stealth. Play you. Bring you up. Give you more stats. Let's kill off this guy. Just trying to get as much damage onto him as possible. And you know what? We can stack him up. We can just remove it, or we can yeah. Oh, I forgot that the trample guy is not attacking first now. The quick guy is. Okay, so we're going to want to reform twice. Reform. Reform. Whiplash. Play. 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 Stealth. Bring this guy up. Just have unlimited stealth going into this final fight. Okay. I think our dude's dying. He is. He is in fact dying. So it's very simple then. We bring back the other egg. It also dies, as is tradition. We can stealth. Play this tomb. Get this guy to be really big, which seems absolutely fine. Yeah, we'll just hold on to that for now. Okay, so we're on the final wave. We're gonna get a little bit of garbage. So, what do we want to do? I think we're already killing him, but just in case, as I am prone to do, we can bring this guy up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kill this. Whiplash you. Stealth. And all of that looks completely fine. And there you go. So that's kind of how an egg build can work. Not a perfect egg build play, but I think it gives a good enough example of just like how powerful they can be when you stick them all together. And when you have all of these synergies between the different infusions, and especially like having remove shell from Echo Right. word of caution regarding eggs. Maybe this will be my last little bit. The word of caution here is you really don't want to take eggs if you don't have a consistent way to either get charged echoes enough to form them, or if you don't have enough like etch or any of these other combinations. Because what can happen is you have these eggs just sitting there and they're just not as valuable when they aren't hatching regularly. So that's my kind of like thing, is if I can get at least 4 or 5 charged echoes per turn, or I have one of the synergies, either the relic, or we have Marsh Lord, or we have the egg spell, I can't think of what it's called, where you can remove shell from eggs. If you don't have any of that and you don't have consistent charged echoes generation, I would avoid eggs, because then they can become very dangerous. But outside of that, you should be just fine. And then one last note is if you have a lot of reap-oriented stuff in your deck, or you have basically, yeah, if you have a lot of reap-oriented stuff, eggs can also be dangerous because they're going to steal the charged echoes before reap gets applied. So just be aware if you have both of them in play, if you have eggs and you're reaping enemies a lot, you are going to kind of be sad when your eggs steal all the charged echoes and your reap does 0 damage. But with that, we can kind of finish off with the standard endgame screen here. Hope this build was helpful for you. Hope you learned something about eggs. If you did, and again, you liked the video, please subscribe. And with that, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.